Hey YouTube, TB back with you again. And one thing I'd like to talk about today that's changed a lot over the years is how to not get lost if you're backpacking. So I'd like to go over a few things, the old way, the newer way, and I'll touch on both of those and cover them both pretty well. But I'm not going to go super into detail because you can learn to do this on the internet really easy, and I'm not here to teach a full class on, orientation and things like that. So anyway, stick with me. We'll cover that, and let's go. Okay, well, the old way of doing things was, took a little work, took a little training to learn how to do it, but that's using topographical maps. And get these from the U.S. Geological Survey, fairly cheap, sometimes even free. And they work really well to know where you're at. And once you learn how to triangulate your position, you can find exactly where you are on the map if you can find two identifiable objects in the area where you're backpacking. In this particular one, of course, you're going to have a compass because this doesn't work without a compass. So this is a sighting compass, so I can look through it with a mirror and I can get my heading. So if I find an object that I can identify, I can write that heading down. Now once I do that, I translate that to the map. So you can see it, you probably can't see it very well, but at this point, right here, I took a reading from this peak, and I took a reading from this peak, and I wrote the headings down, and I drew a line straight back and straight back on those headings, and where those lines cross is where you are. So that's one way you used to find your way around out in the backcountry, was by identifying objects, peaks, valleys, things like that, and take a heading, reverse the lines back, and where those lines cross, that's where you are. So that's one way that you kept yourself oriented when you're out in the backcountry. This is actually in Weminuche Pass in southwestern Colorado. Up about, let's see at this point right here is, this is 11,000 feet and this is 10,600 feet. And that's a good thing about a topographical map. That's the way you used to do it. I've got a closet full of topo maps, and that's just the way you used to do it. The new way to do it is with the GPS. This is a Garmin eTrex 20X. They don't sell this anymore. They recently canceled it. It's a very small unit, very nice, and it's got a nice screen on it, and I'll hold it up to the camera and show you that it's turned on, and it's got me nailed within about 3 feet of the couch I'm sitting on in my living room in my condo. Now the cool thing about the Garmin's is there's all kinds of different maps online you can load on here. And if I want to go just hiking somewhere, and it's someplace I've never been, but I find a trail, then I can just click on this and say, go to, and then I select tracks. I say start a track. All I do is take off down the trail. Once I decide, where I'm going to stop, then I'll stop that track. And then I can turn this off, I can put it back in my backpack, whatever I want, hang it off my belt or stick it in my pocket. When it's time to go back, I open it up, I go to tracks, and of course I've given that track a name, so I'll pull that track up by its name, and then I can just say track back. And at that point, I can either look at the screen and it'll show me my little blue arrow, which is me. And as I'm hiking back, I can follow and make sure that I'm on the trail that I came in on. Or I can go into compass mode, and it will show me with a compass, and it will show me with a line that says, this is the direction you need to be going. So you just keep that line in front of you where you're going. It's going to keep you on that trail all the way back to where you started from. So there's several ways you can use this. Like I said, they don't sell the eTrex 20X anymore. They now have the eTrex 22X, and the great thing about that is it comes with topographical maps like the paper copy I showed you that has elevations and height and everything on it. That is now in the eTrex 22X. So it comes preloaded with topographical maps, which is one of the complaints that this one had, that if you wanted, topo maps, you had to go out and download them off the internet and load them onto your GPS. This GPS cost about $150, and I believe the eTrex 22X I think the suggested price is $200, but if you shop around on the internet, you can find it cheaper than that. But like I said, it's already got the topo maps loaded in it, so that's a really, really neat feature to have. This also has a trip computer in it you can pull up. You can see how far you've gone, how much altitude you've gained, and all kinds of different stuff on there. And you just clear that when you start. It gives you zeros everything out, and you take off, and it keeps a good track of where you've been, how long you've been, how much altitude you've gained or lost, and those things come in really, really handy when you're out. Another cool thing that Garmin has is if you go to their website, you can download software. Their main download is a package called Basecamp. Now on Basecamp, you can pull up maps, you can pull up your neighborhood, you can pull up anywhere you're going. And what you do is you go in there, and if it's an established trail, you click on follow, and you can click on a trail, and you can either draw it if you want to on your computer screen, or you can just have it sync it up, and it will put a line over that trail all the way to where you're going and back. So it makes it really easy. Then you just plug in a USB cable to your Garmin GPS, and you just load it. And you load that into your GPS, you give it a name, and then when you go to that site, you just pull up that trail and hit track and take off, and away you go. You can do routes and you can do tracks. I prefer tracks because you can also do with the backtrack. You can also do with the using the compass to follow your way back, and that comes in really handy. This GPS has never saved my life. My previous GPS, which was a Lowrance, did save my life once. I was in central Colorado, and I was up about 12,300 feet on snowshoes, and a blizzard blew in. I couldn't see hardly 6 to 10 feet in front of me of where I was going. So what I did was use my GPS to do a track back, and I just sit there and hike slowly, and I just watched my little marker and just kept it on the trail and kept it on the trail and kept it on the trail all the 4 or 5 miles back to where I'd started from. And sure enough, walked right back into the parking lot where my Jeep was parked. It's fantastic. So that's the different ways you find your way around out in the backcountry. The old school way takes a little learning. You have to study a little bit to, learn how to do, triangulation and things like that, and how to use a topo map properly so that you don't get lost. With the GPS, it's a lot easier. That's for sure. You turn it on, you go through the few menus that you have to go through, and makes it very easy to use. And you can do, set up your maps. Do I want it to point to north? Do I want it to do this? Do I want it to do that? And it comes in really handy. There's not a million, different menus and stuff like that. And but you can set waypoints with this. So if you're on a trail that you're not really familiar with, you can set waypoints. So you can say, okay, this is where I'm starting, click, type the name in, start, trail start, whatever you want to call a trail. And then as you go along the way, and you may come across something you think is like a good point to mark, you just hit waypoint. And what I generally do is I number them. I'll just say this is waypoint 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. and then when I reverse my track back, then it will actually, even if you've got this in your pocket, when you get close to a waypoint, this thing will and it alerts you that you're approaching a waypoint, and it'll tell you how many feet you are from it. And like I said, with the trip computer and stuff like that, I mean, you've got the entire map of the United States already in here, so you can use that. Works great, and it's really a good GPS unit. I mean, for under $200, it's pretty hard to beat. I really enjoy using it. It's fun, and comes in very handy when you need it. Most of the time I'm on trails that I know, so I really don't need my GPS. But when I'm on a new trail or starting a new site, then I like to have it. And that, in conjunction with the Basecamp software, makes it really, really easy to use. And like I said, there's so much stuff you can download on the internet that goes right into your Basecamp software and will load onto your GPS. I have satellite maps on it right now, so I'm basically looking at a satellite view of where I am, because, you know, right now I'm in the city. If I'm going out on a trail somewhere, you know, like in Colorado or New Mexico, then I'm going to use my Basecamp software, and I'm going to, you know, get a tracing of that route that I'm going to take, or the, you know, the tracks as they call it, and then I load that into my GPS, and all I have to do is follow that when I'm out there, and it's going to get me out there, you know, camp a couple of days, and then when I crank it back up, it's going to get me back to where I started from. So it comes in very handy. It's easy to use. It's the learning curve is simple. I mean, you learn how to use this thing really, really fast. Comes with a good manual, and you know, the GPS combined with the Basecamp software is a fantastic utility to use if you're backpacking, and the main thing it's going to do is keep you from getting lost, and that's what you're trying to accomplish using the GPS or even using the old topo map system. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys. It's very important, and always remember to carry, if you're using the GPS, an extra set of 2 AA batteries. Just in case you're out there and your battery fails, you've got that backup. It's going to save all your data. Swap your batteries out, fire it up, and your trails and everything else are still going to be right there at your fingertips, so you're in good shape. And a second thing, as I've mentioned in other videos, is you need to always let someone know where you are. What trail am I on? You know, I'm leaving on this morning at X time in the morning. You know, if I don't contact you by, you know, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, then give them the number of the rescue service for the area that you're in. For me, generally, that's Summit County in Colorado. And that's where I do most of my snowshoeing and stuff, up in the mountains. So my friends already have that information, but I still, every time I go, I let them know. I'll text them in the morning. I'm headed up on this trail, and I should be back by this time. If I don't contact you, call Summit County Rescue and tell them where I am, and they'll come rescue you. But anyway, guys, that's just some tips to keep you safe when you're out there on the trail. And very, very important thing to know is exactly where you are at all times. So anyway, thank you for joining me. Hit like, hit subscribe, and thanks to all my subscribers. And I appreciate you guys joining me today, and y'all have a great one. Take care.